Oh, and you know what that means? No, not National Pecan Month, but rather Tartan Day. Tartan Day is a Scottish celebration of Scottish culture and Scottish heritage. It happens every year on April 6th and is a great time to celebrate. And in honor of that fact, I put on a special Scotch tasting at Shanahan's of Woodridge with Master of Scotch, Mr. Martin Duffy, and invited several of my Scottish friends and just celebrated Tartan Day and Scottish pride and tried some yummy Scottish spirits. First of all, President of the Illinois St. Andrews Society, Gus Noble, tells us what Tartan Day is all about.
Tartan Day is the American recognition of Scottish contributions to this North American way of life, to politics, to the system of government, and to the various things that happen in North America. And it's actually celebrated on April the 6th, as you rightly said, it's in April. The reason it's April the 6th is because in 1320, on April the 6th in Scotland, there was a declaration signed, and that declaration was called the Declaration of Arbroath. And it's a very important document because that declaration signified the formation of the Scottish government. And it's signed on April the 6th. We celebrate Tartan Day on April the 6th because the US Declaration of Independence is almost to the letter based upon the Declaration of Arbroath.
I wanted to get the full scoop on Scotch and asked Master of Scotch, Mr. Martin Duffy, all about it.
First of all, I want to know the history about Scotch. How far does that go back? Because I always joke that William Wallace drinks Scotch.
He could have, but what he would have been drinking would have been a much more rudimentary version of it. What we know today is Scotch whiskey would have been a lot rougher, Basically, they made whiskey that afternoon to drink that night. Unlike all these whiskeys you see nowadays that are 8, 12, some whiskeys 25, 30 years of age. They were very rough. They were basically the Scottish moonshine of its day.
Right, Dan. One thing we do want to mention, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no such thing as a bad Scotch. All Scotches are good. There might be better Scotches, but all Scotches are different in their own way.
That's correct. Every whiskey's like a person. And when you meet a whiskey, it depends on how you guys get along. It's all an individual basis. That's why people ask me, what's my favorite whiskey? I say, well, you know what? My favorite whiskey might not be your favorite whiskey. It's all about your own personal tastes.
Right, Dan. Before we taste, we understand that you have some, different blends. I guess there's like single malt or multi-blends. Can you tell us all about this?
Sure. In Scotland, you have two major types of whiskey. You have single malts and you have blended Scotch whiskey. A single malt is a single whiskey made from a single grain, barley, that comes from a single distillery. And those distilleries are in different regions of Scotland, and every region seems to lend a certain character to the whiskey. If it's in the lowland, it tends to be gentler, slightly grassy. If you're up in the Highlands, they tend to be a little fruitier. Out in the Isles, those are the big, briny, smoky, peaty whiskeys that most people associate with Scotch whiskey. And then you have a blended whiskey, which is just that. It's a blend of single malts along with grain whiskey, which is also made and aged in Scotland. And they tend to be a little more complex because you're bringing more of these flavors together and putting them all in one bottle, basically.
Okay, now let's try a Scotch. Which one would you like to try first for us?
I'm going to start you off with the softest of the single malts. Lads, if you like. These are also, by the way, Glencairn glasses, which I had brought in from Scotland. This is these are made right outside of Glasgow, actually. And they're great for nosing. The whiskey we're going to have is the Cragganmore Distillers Edition. This is a special limited edition that was brought into the States in the last couple of months. This is double matured. It's spent 12 years in a former bourbon cask and then spends additional time in a port pipe or a port cask, which imparts a darker, fruitier character to the whiskey.
Okay.
So you just nose it. And nosing a whiskey is almost half of the enjoyment, it really is, because a good whiskey has a nose that just almost transports you. And in fact, a lot of the whiskeys from Scotland, when you use our Talisker, for instance, you go to the Isle of Skye, where Talisker's from, and it smells like the ale. You get an epiphany. You go, oh, that's why they make that whiskey the way they do. It's amazing. Now this tends to have a slight, very fruity nose. Cragganmore always has kind of fresh fruit like banana to it. The port imparts even darker fruit, almost darker banana, and a little bit of a wine essence to it as well.
Okay, we'll have everyone take a sip of that, and I'll have Gus try some here. So what do you think of this one, Gus?
Very nice. Very nice indeed.
One of my guest tasters was the president of the Illinois St. Andrews Society, Gus Noble, and he tells us more about the society.
Well, the Illinois St. Andrews Society is actually the oldest charitable organization in the state of Illinois. We were founded in 1845 when Scots came across to the city. And what they did is they formed a society to preserve Scottish customs and to promote Scottish heritage. But what they also did was make a commitment to help other Scots who came to Chicago and perhaps fell on worse luck as they struggled to adapt to the life that they found in Chicago. So we still maintain this kind of twin focus of cultural promotion and charitable service to the community. We host events like the Highland Games, which are in June the 15th and 16th at the Oakbrook Polo Grounds. And we also run various charitable initiatives, including scholarships, support for the arts, but most importantly, and the most visible charity we have is something called the Scottish Home, which is a wonderful retirement community in the forest preserves of North Riverside.
Another friend at this shindig was Bob McLeod of Clan McLeod, USA, who is the Northern Illinois coordinator for the Great Lakes region of Clan McLeod, USA.
Clan McLeod is a worldwide organization. We have 9 national societies throughout the world. One of Scotland's greatest contributions is the disbursement of people throughout the world, but yet we have maintained a common bond. And with our clan, just like many other clans, we have formed societies in the countries that we find ourselves in. And we participate in such things as the Highland Games, sponsored by the St. Andrews Society, also the games in Springfield. We have them in Milwaukee. Almost every weekend during the summer, somewhere in the Midwest, we have games where we get together. Each clan, such as Clan McLeod, will have their tent where they talk about the culture and activities we do together. And it's really an extended family. And it's not just McLeod's. All of the clans have what they call seps. These are other families that are also part of the clan. For ours, for example, McLeod, ever how it's spelled. Also the Lewises, McCaskies, McCrimmons, the list goes on, as do most of these clans. So it's just a wonderful organization.
Adrian Melvin is the bagpipe guru. He is currently the pipe sergeant for the famed Midlothian Scottish Pipe Band.
First of all, tell us a little bit about the bagpipes and how easy are they to play?
A lot of people ask that question. Bagpipes aren't really very hard to play. If you learn them without the proper habits, then it could be hard to break bad habits. But it's one of these kind of things, if you have good knowledge, it really isn't really that hard to make it sound good and play well on the bagpipes. But basically when you have the bagpipes, if you can see in the camera, you've got these 3 kind of big sticks up here, which give you the kind of background hum. This stick is called a blowpipe. I blow in the blowpipe to provide air. And then here, we actually have something a bit like, I suppose, a recorder, and that we have holes on here that we kind of move our fingers on to make the melody. So basically we've got 4 reeds we've got to keep in tune with each other at the same time. And I've got to keep this scale in tune with itself. So sometimes it feels like a bit of a juggling act on St. Patrick's Day or something like this when it's a bit cold outside, but overall when you get a good bagpipe sounding good, it's a tremendous thing. I teach a lot of different students all around Illinois and actually a couple other states as well over the internet on webcam, and I actually sell pipes as well for a couple of bagpipe makers out there, so that my students get good bagpipes, they get good service. That way I can always be there to kind of help them if there's any kind of problems, you know. And they can basically kind of anybody, if they're interested in bagpipe lessons or a piper for an event or whatever, very easy to find me. I've got a website called ibagpipe.com, like iPod.
For more information on my guest, please take note of your screen. A happy Tartan Day to ya.